Alright, hello people from the internet, hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Night Settler here with another non-gameplay video. I haven't made a non-gameplay video in a while, sorry for that. There will be a lot of that in the future, definitely a lot of non-gameplay videos to be uploaded on my YouTube, so you can look forward to that. And today's video is gonna be about my 0.29 tournament, like how it went for me, how I feel about the version, how I feel about, all the characters that I won. Um, and yeah, like all of those things. So to begin with, we have the characters on screen. The one at the bottom is the one that I won first, and like the one at the top is the one that I won latest. So they're like in order. I had a Merfolk Monk of Trog. I got Trog of a Fatal Altar, I think, and I just went with that. Baraki Brigand of Cheibriados, Human Gladiator of Okawaru, Deep Elf Conjurer of Behemoth, and Demon Spawn Elementalist of Sif Muna. Unfortunately, there were no trolls, no ogres, sorry. There were no ogres for me this tournament. I did try, but ogre is just not in a good spot in 0.29, 0.30. I've not managed to win an ogre in a while. Apart from Ogre Elementalist, which is kinda really strong. Um, so yeah, I think that the damage in Static Discharge got nerfed a bit after I won the Ogre Elementalist, and Static Discharge is the thing to use in order to make that usable. And it's pretty rough. Regardless, in 0.29, I kinda didn't really play a lot of Elementalist until you can see the final game in the tournament. And then I kind of realized, hey, this is like super broken in this version. It has everything. It has good damage, it has damage variety, having physical and electricity damage. It has a spell that doesn't check armor class, evasion, or shield, only checks whether or not the target has resistance to electricity. It has swiftness, which is great in the land of attacks of opportunity, aka 0.29, because fortunately attacks of opportunity are not making it to 0.30, that's already confirmed. We just have to see what's gonna replace them, because the game won't go back to an age where pillar dancing is a thing that can happen. Yeah, that will definitely not ever be the case. Um, but anyway, um, so yeah, that's the very first thing that I can tell you about the tournament. I realized that the Elementalist is really strong in 0.29. You should all give it a try in case you want to get like a cheap and easy mage win, because it's one of the few things that are unnerfed. In fact, they are quite buffed. Not necessarily because of the fact that the kit got buffed itself, but it's more like everything around it got nerfed, including like every other character as a whole due to the introduction of attacks of opportunity. But Elementalist has always had a way to break away from monsters in the book in the form of swiftness. So they alone have the tool that helps you prevent attacks of opportunity without having to spend consumables. That's what I can tell you regarding Elementalist. For the rest of my characters, as well, you can see there the Merfolk Monk of Trog. It was my first winning character in the tournament, as I already mentioned. I wanted to go with Swords Dexterity because I knew that Swords Dexterity worked. I have already like proven that time and time again. I have a bunch of Swords Dexterity characters on YouTube. My Merfolk Monk ended up the game with a +9 triple Sword of Freezing, 35, 36 defenses. It was a pretty strong character. A bit blessed with the loot. I see a pretty busted ring that I had and an Amulet of Regen with cold resistance and willpower. Yeah, it was a pretty solid character. I am talking about what the character had, but don't worry. Like, if you want to see the character in detail, I'll leave links to every character's log in the description in case you want to take a look at them in detail. Um, Swords Dexterity is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to go at melee in this version of the game. Dexterity is just busted, and strength is in a pretty rough spot. Not only does dexterity make you deal more damage, it also makes you take less damage because both evasion and shields scale with dexterity, and you don't really need that much strength. My character ended up with 35 armor class with only 17 strength. I was wearing pearl scales, plus 8 pearl scales, never was able to fully enchant them. But yeah, like if you can easily get to 30 armor class or so on a character like on a swords dexterity character, and because you're pumping dexterity to increase your damage, you also get a lot of evasion alongside that, as long as you train the skill, of course. And if you choose to use a shield, you will also have a very, very respectable amount of shield stat. So what I'm trying to say is that a dexterity-based melee character will just completely and utterly outclass anything strength-related when it comes to melee in this version. It's just like that. Like strength is garbage compared to dexterity. And if I wanted to win, I wouldn't really try to start a strength melee character because I know that I'm gonna be disappointed. That is not to say that strength is worthless. It's just greatly, greatly nerfed compared to previous iterations. You can still use strength for throwables, and in fact, I think this is a very viable strategy for Ogre and Troll, considering that they don't really get a lot in the way of dexterity or evasion, so they don't really get the chance to, take advantage of the broken stat in this version, apart from just throwing rock. So yeah, that's it for the Merfolk, I suppose. The Baraki, it was a Baraki Brigand of Cheibriados. It was, I think I started it with the idea of being a swords dexterity character again, and I ended up with a plus 11 hand crossbow of speed, which was extremely busted, but unfortunately Cheibriados disapproved of the use of such an item, so I never really attacked with it. I ended with an Evening Star of Freezing, Ring of Protection. Yeah, this character had some pretty great loot. 14, 9, 38, 37 defenses, 39 dexterity, 43 strength. So my Evening Star was actually getting in quite a bit of a punch. I ended with 27 shields, of course. I got the shield title. 24.4 armor. The character was for the longest time using the poison package. I've always been a big fan of talking about the poison package and praising it. In fact, the only spells that it had, I'm gonna put them on screen real quick. Give me a second. The only spells that the character had were the poison package, blink, and a port. That's pretty much it. So yeah, getting those spells is always a formula for success. I would recommend it every time if you are playing Crawl that you get these spells that are gonna appear on the screen. Like if you're playing a mage, these spells are absolutely the way to go. Look at that. Ignite Poison, Apport, Poisonous Vapors, Blink, and Toxic Radiance are the only spells that the character had. Other than that, it was just running around, meleeing things with its 49 strength. And yeah, like just being absolutely insane overall. 43 strength, sorry. It had 49 armor class, but 43 strength. Yeah, Cheibriados is a pretty good god in a version where you kind of care about stats, where stats have a significant impact. And it's been that case for quite a while. Like, Kroll eventually made a move to make stats matter more. So, and I would say that the move was completely successful, since I feel like things with very bad stats are also very bad characters. And by extension, Cheibriados, it turns out to be pretty good. Not to mention that Cheibriados also gets an indirect buff from the whole attacks of opportunity deal because you already don't want to move away from things. So Cheibriados not letting you move away from things is not really that much of an impact as it would be otherwise in previous versions, where it was just free to walk away from monsters until you could pillar dance them into oblivion, into full HP or the stairs. So yeah. Okay, that's it for the Baraki Brigand. As I mentioned, once again, at the beginning of the character, I wanted to be Swords Dexterity, but the game said no, so I just took a different route when it came to skilling, and it ended up succeeding quite well. Yes, I feel like with a Cheibriados character, you can do absolutely whatever you want because plus 15 in every one of the three stats is just so much versatility. Couple that with the great aptitudes of the Baraki that literally let them do whatever they want, and you have a pretty solid character. So yeah, I recommend Baraki of Cheibriados. Not to new players. It's difficult and it's punishing, but it's powerful. So yeah, that's always been my opinion on Cheibriados. Um, so the next character that I won in this tournament was the human gladiator of Okawaru. This one also ended up being a swords dexterity character, and by extension, it ended up with some pretty sick stats: 47, 36 armor class evasion, no shield this time. I was using a triple sword of venom. The character was a bit difficult from what I remember. I had a character in the tournament that was pretty rough. I think it was this one. Mm, but I don't remember why it was that way. Looking at the log, I don't see anything wrong with the character. It looks exactly how I like my characters to look like, with resistances and defenses and a lot of damage. May have been just like the nature of it being a melee character. That's probably what happened. Um, but anyway, this character got a very early triple sword, plus 9 triple sword of venom. I was running around with something else. I think I had a vampiric greatsword before it, or so. I had something that I considered to be good, and then Okawaru gave me that on layer 1, and that's just what I used for the rest of the game. Um, it was a pretty great character. I ended up winning with plus 5 storm scales, but I also got plus 9 gold scales from Parhit. I also got the Dragon Skin Cloak from Tiamat. Yeah, perhaps the character was not as difficult as I remembered it being, because if it had been truly bad, I wouldn't have killed Parhit or Tiamat. Those are the kind of uniques that I skip whenever I don't have a truly good character. Um, yeah, this character was kind of using throw balls, but not that much. I ended the game with 16 throwing, which obviously, because I was a worshipper of Okawaru, ended up being enhanced to 21 whenever I used hero, and 22 fighting, long blades, armor, and dodging, all of which got enhanced to exactly 27 whenever I use hero. So yeah, hero, like training around hero is not the not the most terrible thing ever. You don't really need to max everything if you have hero. It's truly crazy how strong Okawaru is. Always been a big fan of Okawaru, but in this version with the duel, it's even better. Mm, how many uses of duel did I have in this character? Let's see. Duel. 5 uses of duel. 2 in the late game, 2 in depths. Well, 2 in SOT, roughly, 2 in depths, and 1 before that. Okay. Mm, uses of hero 66, uses of finesse 35. Pretty good character. Um, Playing characters like this is always pretty enjoyable in my opinion, because I feel like I actually have, the tools that I need to be able to overcome whatever ridiculous thing the game throws at me. I enjoy that feeling, and I wish I could experience it more often with the game. It is unfortunately not always the case that I get to feel like that. But the next character is my first truly dedicated mage in the tournament. It is the Deep Elf Conjurer. It obviously won with a Sky Weapon. Yeah, like if it's a spell, it's a melee. No, sorry, it's a spellcaster with 22 Dexterity, 6 Strength. I was not really gonna be running around meleeing things with the plus 6 rapier. Um, in terms of defenses, pretty lackluster. In terms of resistances, respectable, definitely enough to win the game. But yeah, that's not what the character was doing. What the character was doing was Poison Package, obviously, Spellforce Servitor, Crystal Spear. That's a very good combination of things to have. Spellforce Servitor, Crystal Spear just kills a lot of things. And that's all that I thought I needed. This time I didn't get a level 9 spell. I do remember that this one was a bit. No, no, it wasn't that difficult. I was just running around crystal spearing everything and everyone, being a deep elf of Behemoth. This was the one where I got Speed Demon 3. Getting Speed Demon 3 with a deep elf is not the easiest thing to do for most players. I personally didn't consider it to be that difficult because the deep elf playstyle is just like it fits me perfectly. Um, as long as I have powerful tools to deal with monsters, I think that I am very unlikely to make serious mistakes. But the more fights progress, like as a whole, like the longer the fights take, the more likely I am to make a mistake and then make another mistake and then make another mistake and then be in a situation where I just like have to rely on luck to survive, which is of course not the ideal state of affairs. You should try your best to avoid being in such positions. But that's why I said that my strengths as a player like really favor just being a deep elf that deletes things in 1 or 2 turns as soon as they enter their line of sight. Yeah, pretty good character. I greatly enjoyed it. By the way, regarding all of these characters, like I'm gonna be posting the logs on the description of this video. But if you wanna watch them, if you wanna see the journey, I uploaded all 5 of them to YouTube. All 5 of my wins this tournament are on YouTube for you to rewatch if you feel like doing so. There's even like the seeds. I even got the seeds because this was played in a stable version, so you could just grab the seeds and play with them yourself. In fact, in some of the characters, I did mention that how like the loot that the game provided made it so that there were like very very wide paths towards victory. Especially if you know what's coming, and you know what's coming if you're playing with the seeds. So yeah, you can do that if you want to, and let me know how it goes, I suppose. So the final character was a demon spawn elementalist of Sif Muna. It was pretty much the perfect character to go for a Mega Sig run. I didn't want to do it because I greatly abhor going for Mega Sigs. I consider them to be extremely boring. Once you get to that level of power and you kind of destroy extended, that's pretty much it for me. At that point I would prefer to go do something else, like start a new character and build another strong character. That's a really enjoyable thing about this game, like adapting to the floor. And becoming more and more powerful, and then just being godly for a bit, and then winning the game. Rinse and repeat. I've never really felt attracted to the idea of doing Mega Six. In fact, I did got a character I did get a character for Mega Six a couple of months ago. I did like 11 or so, and then I was like, you know what? I kind of don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore. So I just eventually bailed out from that. But this character is very reminiscent of that one. The mutation set that I got with this Demon Spawn was some of the greatest mutations that you could get for the goals of doing a Mega Sig. I had Powered by Death, very very strong. Um, I had Augmentation, also very strong. I had Guardian Spirits. I regent mana rapidly. When low on mana, I regen mana instead of HP. Pretty good thing to have in combination with Powered by That. I had 6 Intelligence and Wizardry, which definitely led me towards sticking with the spellcasting path. I was gonna do that anyway. I would try to force spellcasting every time, since I consider it to be an easier playstyle for me than melee. Yeah. And also mutation resistance, but that's completely unrelated. I just got that from a potion. So yeah, I had a really, really strong set of demon spawn mutations this time. So strong, in fact, that by the time I was in SOT, like before picking up the orb, I already had 100% spell power in some spells. It was really absurd. this character also went Sif Muna, which is a rather unorthodox god choice for me, especially when it comes to playing a spellcaster. But I went Sif Muna because my one of my first finds when it comes to loot in the entirety of the game was a really good book. Mm, I got it's gonna take me a bit to find it. Hmm. Yeah, no idea. But I went Sif Muna because I got a pretty great book. I remember that. And yeah, like Sif Muna was probably the way to go. I don't think it would have been terrible if I had gone Behumet, but gaining back mana while having the mana regen, the Guardian Spirit mutation is like pretty good as a demon spawn. And then I just like got every spell that I could possibly wish for. My end spell. Oh, sorry. The spell list that I had by the end of the game was hmm, oh yeah, like I had a lot of spells. Chain Lightning, Mystic Blast, Firestorm, Swiftness, Earth Strike, Ignite Poison, Pass Wall, Apport, Poisonous Vapors, Blink, Ignition, Necromutation, and Shatter. All of which were at 100 spell power except for Necromutation, because Necromutation didn't get enhanced by the staff, by the elemental staff, which I did have. So yeah, I just had so much spell power because of augmentation plus the elemental staff plus 45 intelligence that this character completely destroyed the entirety of the game. I even ended with really good um, defenses for a character like this one. 29-35 with maxed resistances except for willpower. I liked 1 pip of willpower, but like everything above 3 pips of willpower is pretty much like being immune to hexes. It only provides you protection resistance from whenever you get your willpower halved, which doesn't really happen any very frequently anyway. So whatever. Um, yeah, pretty solid character indeed. Um, I feel like a player that would be inclined to do Mega 6 would have taken this character for a ride for the rest of the tournament. I finished it on September 10th. The tournament ended on September 14th or 15th or so. I don't really remember when it ended. But yeah, you could have just spent all of that time grinding cigarettes for a score in the tournament, but it's not really my thing. Anyway, those were the 5 characters that I ended up winning in the tournament. Um, my overall rank was 45th out of 1,489 participants. I could have done better. There were some situations where, yeah, I was never able to get a streak for this tournament. This version is pretty rough for streaking when it comes to me. At least while retaining, desire to play the game, because I feel like I could have gotten a streak for just playing 4 different spellcasters, but I didn't really feel like playing 4 spellcasters in a row. I wanted to go for a variety of different characters. I wanted to go for an MLX choice, and my last character in the tournament was a Formicid Conjurer of Ashensari that was going extremely well until I got surrounded by a Guardian Serpent. You know the things that they usually do, Guardian Serpents. They love to surround you with things that are outside of your line of sight, so you don't know what's coming. And because I was a Formicid, I wasn't able to escape. I got surrounded by Nagas, of course, and I was unable to break away from the constriction, no blinking, no teleporting, final level of snake, so no shafting. It was just impossible to survive that situation. The only way to survive it was to prevent it in the first place, I guess, and I just didn't do that. It's a shame because that final character was a very enjoyable character up until the point where I died. I felt like I was going. I feel like it was going very well, but unfortunately, you know how it is. Anyway, after that character, I didn't really feel like playing Crawl anymore. It's just not. Yeah, it was not the version for me. I didn't really like 0.29. It's also one of the versions with the lowest win rate in recent times. 0.26 was significantly easier than the average crawl version, and there was an obvious reaction from the development team in 0.27, making everything significantly more difficult by the introduction of monster weapon attack delay changes. 0.28 didn't really see that many changes to the early game. But 0.29 added attacks of opportunity, and it was already in a pretty bad spot when it came to monster weapon attack delay changes, because monsters get pretty or got significantly more powerful compared to the player. So yeah, just um, it was pretty rough, and it is still pretty rough for melee characters in my opinion, especially melee characters that are not dexterity based, as I already said. There is rumors of 0.30 being the version of Melee. I wonder what's gonna happen with that. I'm definitely interested in seeing some buffs or positive changes to Melee for the player, because I've never liked it personally. I feel like it is inconsistent, and it's just like too RNG based. You miss 7 times in a row and then you get killed, versus a monster that you previously killed in two swings of your weapon, like it was nothing. And yeah, I just don't like it. But yeah. Mm, Perhaps I should have gotten a Jiva win in the tournament. Some Cinder Acolyte. Cinder Acolyte is in a perfect position. I think it's one of the best backgrounds to begin with. Ever since it was introduced, it's been a fantastic background, and it certainly lets you do the switch to Jiva, because by the time you find Jiva, it's about the time where you should start thinking about abandoning Ignis and go your actual god. Unless you want to win Ignis, of course, but you are kind of playing Atheist at that point. Mm, Anyway, I don't think I have much else to say regarding 0.29 or the tournament and the version. Other than, yeah, it was not really the best version for me. It was pretty rough to play. In fact, it's kind of making me not want to play that much crawl this version. I will try to limit my crawl playtime so that I don't uh, burn out on crawl, because I like crawl at the end of the day. So yeah. Anyway. Mm, Thank you for watching, I suppose. I hope that this was worth it to you in some way. I promise that my next non-gameplay videos will be a bit more rich. Like I have plans to make entirely subjective tier lists for backgrounds, species, and gods for 0.29. And I also will do the spell overview for conjurations. It was a good thing that I decided not to do it until after 0.30 released, because there's a new background in 0.30 which is called River, and it's gotten a couple of new conjuration spells that will be added to the spell overview, so you can look forward to that. As always, thank you for watching and have a nice rest of your day. See you around. And thank you for my supporters on Patreon. Thank you for your support, sorry. Anthony Emergence, Blink and Die, and Do Lost Ball. I appreciate your support quite a lot. It really helps. And I hope that you have been getting good value out of your contributions.